Hi, Dr. Steph here. It is so good to see you. Today, I want to talk to you about victim and martyrdom patterns. This is such an important concept because these two patterns are very prevalent in especially empathic women. And this is something that I am circling back around to as I am editing my book that is coming out in September of 2026 called The D Word: How I Left My Husband and Found Myself. And it has just been a dream come true to work with the publisher on getting this message out into the world. I really tell on myself in this book. And as I've gone through the editing process of something that, I've written a year ago, now I'm going back and editing it and really seeing with fresh eyes all of the times that I got caught up in this martyr pattern. And then at the same time, I'm working with clients who are getting caught up in the martyr pattern. And then I'm seeing myself in a different context, further removed from that center point, from the relationships that are affecting me most. But, as we heal, we go around and these patterns keep coming back around, either in more and more distant ways or in closer and closer ways to get our attention and help us in letting them go. And this is a key takeaway that I have learned. We may think that the problem is out there, and especially when it relates to these martyr and victim patterns, the problem is not out there. The problem out there is reflecting what is going on in our inner world. And why is that so important to address internally? Because this is your life. This is your one life. I don't know what you believe, but the more I wake up spiritually, the more I realize there's so much magic and mystery, and not magic in the like we can't understand it, but magic in that awe-inspiring sense that the world is wondrous and that consciousness is wondrous. Our life is wondrous. And we can forget that and find ourselves in these patterns of victimhood and martyrdom because, one, they serve us in some way. How might they serve us? How might martyrdom serve you? How might victimhood serve you? It gives you a sense of control. It may give you a sense of safety. It is predictable. You don't have to really take full responsibility for yourself. You can keep outsourcing blame to other people. That might feel good. But the truth is, when we take full responsibility for ourselves, it has like a little bit of a sting at first of admitting like, I know that's on me. It stings. And then it opens. And the expansiveness of taking responsibility for ourselves is something that aspire to be able to express how good it is. And I want to express that to you and even to myself to remind myself that I don't have to stay stuck in those patterns. So let me caveat that I'm not talking about like bypassing or or over positivity. I am talking about that decision that once you do get some sort of trigger and do feel the emotion and then want to go back into the pattern of victimhood or martyrdom, for those of you that have this pattern and have some level of self-awareness as you've been dealing with it, you kind of know there's a moment, there are multiple moments that you can choose to either stay in that pattern or to come out of it. Okay, if you are a little bit more unconsciously or subconsciously staying in it, how might you know you're staying in it? You will know you're staying in it if you feel like, if you have felt kind of bad for 2 weeks, but the thing that you're complaining about changes and the person that you're mad at changes. Then you are finding external circumstances to justify why you feel the way you do. And it creates that positive feedback loop of staying in the place of victimhood or martyrdom, which is very disempowering, and yet it lets you off the hook. And it serves you in maybe getting help in some way from other people. But this is this is just a temporary, let's say, not temporary fix, but this is a temporary, not necessarily helpful feeling to stay in. So I want to tell you specifically that as I've been editing my book, I had a few years where I was hard in the martyrdom complex. I did not want to move to the city that I moved to be with my ex-husband. I regretted it every day for 2 years. And it was to the point of me having a passive death wish for a year and a half. And my intuition was telling me, leave today, leave today, leave today. And the more I got that message, the more I heard, I can't, I can't, I can't. And I spiraled tighter and tighter into that martyrdom pattern. And what finally popped the bubble after, at this point now, 4 years of being in that pattern was my therapist asking me, what do I want? And I said, oh no, no, I am not allowed to ask that question. I have made decisions where what I want is irrelevant. It's really about what other people want and who other people need me to be, because that is why I'm here. And that is the most noble thing to do, is to serve other people. Now, I really was I really was always an empathic child, and I know that service is part of my mission. And so I got confused as a child with getting a lot of positive feedback for being very generous and giving, and then like saw that as my in to get love, get predictability, and get nervous system regulation when people around me were like too much for my high sensitivity to deal with. I was just like, what do they need? I got to control the situation because I don't like their energy is like stressing me out. And that's especially true of my family, my sister. And she will tell you, "Oh, I wasn't allowed to like express my full emotions because I was too much for people." And I would tell you, "Yeah, she was too much for me." And I tried to really manage because it really sent my sensitivity through the roof to be around that. And so I learned really early how to maneuver and control the situation. And then that pattern continued and continued despite having moments in life of just expansive freedom. And that's how I know that the twists and turns of life are really here to teach us how to be more ourselves. And the more painful the lesson, the tighter we've wound ourselves up in that pattern. So I can really speak to the martyrdom pattern. Now, coming out of it was extremely challenging, and I talk a lot about that in my book, and I will be sharing more here about that process of coming out. It took incredible courage. It took an unwavering support system, which I did not even know I had, but they showed up for me. And it took persistence, and it took being willing to be in grief and in pain and really feel that. And, once I went through that transformation process, the life opened up for me in beautiful ways. And I'm in a cycle again in another way of seeing where I am holding on to that sense of, well, I can't really like be fully myself at work. I can't be totally free because I've got to like kind of play the part. And I'm seeing it in myself like, huh, that is so interesting that I am holding myself back from really being myself. And then I'll try here and there to tell some coworkers who I trust, like, this is who I really am and this is what I'm really into. And they're like, oh my God, me too. Or like, this is what I'm really into. And I love that. And recognizing we are all human. There may be a few people at work that like want to stay in that zone of playing the part, but there are plenty of people that I can be myself with and be human around, where I was born to be myself, to be human, and work is just a construct there are, millions of mini cultures that we can find ourselves in. It doesn't mean that we have to play that part to be safe. So this is what I want to share with those in that martyr or victim concept in this kind of abstract, deep way that your circumstances that you think are holding you back could really be showing you where you're holding yourself back. And then you get into some of the beautiful one-liners of the obstacle is the way. The challenge is the way. And for this particular pattern, that is absolutely true. Where in your life are you blaming someone so hard for how you feel? And especially if you're blaming multiple different people, if the person in question changes, that common denominator is you. What pattern is your inner self trying to show you that you can release, let go? Wouldn't it feel so good to shed that and not have to deal with that shit that you are taking on, that you are absorbing, that you are putting on yourself, even if it is there in the external, that you are choosing to step into? Now, I know there are times that it's not that simple, but I am speaking to the times that are that simple because there are circumstances where maybe you can't do that, but there are also circumstances where you can choose to step out of that energy. And I am telling you, do it. Step out of that energy. It is a courageous move. It is so freeing. The sting to the ego is like, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Once you decide, I am going to take full responsibility for myself. I'm not saying that everything that happened to me was my fault, but I am going to take full responsibility for myself. The world opens up to you. Your brain opens up to you. Your biology opens up to you. You tune in to yourself instead of your antenna being tuned to the external and then dictating how you should feel. You tune into yourself and begin to learn how to create the life that you want. I feel like I am at the beginning, middle of my journey, where there are some incredible things that have happened for me where I'm like, I could have only dreamed of living this life. And now I'm finding, oh, actually, my dreams are even bigger than what I didn't think was possible 3 years ago. And I'm opening up to that. And I am still dealing with really negative emotions that come through. And then I'm like, oh, I can let that go. And then go have a wonderful day and have a wonderful connection and be discerning about who I seek to connect with and who I seek nourishment from. Some people will not have anything to give you, even if they're in positions of power at the 3D level. That's okay. That's okay. You don't have to seek anything from them. You don't need their approval. And if you find yourself resisting, that's really interesting. Just like inquire about that a little bit with yourself and seek the people who can nourish you. There is a lot of shit online, and there are a lot of resources online. There are some people doing incredible things. I have come into contact with beautiful manifestation teachers. The Know Thyself podcast has amazing wisdom. I did a natal chart reading with Daniel, a phenomenal person, so generous with his time and with his wisdom. Kim Chesney is someone that I have done an intuition program with. Oh, so authentic, so beautifully bright in how she understands intuition and is able to teach it to people, teach people how to access it within themselves in super fun ways. Nishala Joy Devi wrote the Yoga Sutras from a feminine perspective. Incredible woman, feisty, interesting, fiery. Oh, there are authors that have lived all over the world that then have their own synchronistic connections with each other that can offer incredible wisdom. But even if you're staying online, there, once you get on a kick of watching videos from people who are sharing how to expand consciousness, you'll find more and more people like that. There are people seeking it, and you'll find opportunities to join communities of people that are doing that. And all of the sudden, your environment, your social environment from being online can really change, even though there's a lot of muck to sort through. You can ignore it and move over to some other positive things. So I've really shared a range of different topics here. And the connection point is that when you are in a pattern of victimhood or martyrdom, you can notice it by seeing what am I complaining about, especially if I have the same feeling, but the reason for that feeling is shifting from person to person or event to event. And how is that revealing to me what I can choose to change within myself, how I can orient differently to myself, and what would it feel like to not take on that energy, right? Right? So, thank you for tuning in and listening, and I wish you the most beautiful day. I would love to get connected with you. I offer a range of resources especially related to assisting women in making that transition from self-abandonment to self-reclamation. That is what the book is all about. Even though it's the backdrop of divorce, it's really my own inner journey into reclaiming my own life because it's my life. And me reclaiming my life is good, especially as an empathic woman, sensitive empathic woman who is prone to martyrdom, when I do that, it is very good for the collective. So if you identify with that as well, it is good for you to be selfish and ultimately create those energetic ripples outward. So that is what I offer, and it's such a joy for me. And I'm growing my community of other spiritual mentors and teachers that have a range of different offerings, and I love to connect with people. So if you are looking for something and want to connect, then send me a message. I'll have my email in the description at stephanie@paradigmexpansions.com. You can send me a message, and I will be happy to refer you to anyone in my community who I think would be a good fit. And it doesn't even mean that it would have to be that you're paying someone. There are a lot of free communities out there as well. I'm excited for you. Life is really about to change for the whole world. And there's a unique opportunity to go inward and to choose love, to choose truth, to choose taking responsibility for yourself. It's a really, it's a really powerful time to do so. So thank you again. So much love to you.